Hello again, everybody. So here I am right now on Schoology, and I'm in the secondary ELA group, and I'm looking at the resources that gives us all of the curriculum for ELA. And you'll see within this list that here we have Grade 8 English Language Arts. So to access the draft curriculum, you're going to open that folder. And then within that folder, you're going to see the two 8th grade curriculums that we have. Here's the legacy or the former curriculum, and now here's the draft or the new curriculum. So you open this folder, and then you can see here are the folders of the new draft curriculum. So just taking a look at them very quickly, this first one that says Grade 8 Year at a Glance, if you open that, you'll see that that's exactly what it is. It's a year at a glance for our new draft curriculum, which gives us our units, the standards that are covered, the big ideas, the essential questions, and the PBA. And the different text options are also listed here. So I wanted you to take a look at this because I know a lot of folks at the beginning of the year will ask for an overview document that can be given to parents for back to school night as an overview of the curriculum. So I offer you this right here because that's exactly what this is. It's going to give you the year at a glance. Okay. The next folder down says Grade 8 Essential Materials. When you open that, I believe this folder is also in the Legacy curriculum. This just gives you the materials that we have on addressing sensitive issues, the internet policies, and then also a guide to working with collections step by step. That might be useful if this is the first time that you're working with collections. Then after that, you see our units, and here are our 4 units, the folders for our 4 units. So we're going to go into Unit 1, but know that all of the units are organized the same way. Okay, so when we open Unit 1, we see 3 documents here at the beginning. We have the Unit 1 calendar, we have the interactive overview, and we have the body of evidence. I like to think of all 3 of these documents as basically documents that all do the same thing, but in a different way. What they all do is they all give you kind of an overview idea of the entire unit. Okay, so looking at them one by one, if we go into this one, the calendar, this one is just a more traditional calendar of the different lessons, giving you the main idea of the lessons and the texts that are going to be used. Okay, now what I like about this document is that I think it's the one that shows you most clearly where the learning check should go within the unit. So you can see when you look at this document for Unit 1, the learning check should fall between Lesson 6 and Lesson 7. Without looking at this document, you're going to see where the learning check should go just looking at the individual lessons. Because when you look on Lesson 6 in the instructional notes, it's going to big old in bold say, administer the learning check following this lesson or something like that. Okay. Then we have the interactive overview document, and we always refer to this document as the one-stop shopping document. This is all of the resources for the entire unit right here within this one document. And it starts with an overview of the idea of the unit, the essential questions, and then these are the target standards or the focus standards for those particular units. But please keep in mind that these are not the only standards that you should address within a unit. You should be addressing many standards, but these are the ones that are going to be assessed. Basically, you can see through the diagnostic, the learning check, and the performance-based assessment. Speaking of those assessments, here are links to all of them. So you just have to click on these and it will open those individual documents for you. And then here's also a link to the body of evidence, which is another one of those documents that I'll show you in just a minute. Then what the interactive teacher overview has that's unique is this core learning plan where it lists all of the lessons. So it gives you a link to the lesson, the standard that's covered, the texts that are used within the lesson, some of the resources that are used within the lesson, and then a suggested writing task, and then what the assessment of the lesson looks like. So this is a very skeletal idea of what the lessons look like, and you can see that they're all here. To look at this, it might be confusing to know, well, if my students read Marigolds and here's all the resources that go with it, what exactly are they doing with this unit? Your best bet is to actually look at the lesson. Okay, but everything is listed here. Okay. Then there's the body of evidence document. Now the body of evidence document also gives us an overview of the unit, but with this one what we're looking at are the ways that the students can be assessed with their mastery toward the standards that you're teaching. So it starts with the PBA. Here's where you're going with the entire unit and the standards that are going to be assessed with that PBA. Then it also gives you all of the standards that are going to be covered in that county launched periodic assessment. So you can see that there are many of them that are going to be hit in that Unit 1 periodic assessment that are not necessarily the focus standards of the unit. That's good for you to know that many standards have to be covered within the unit, not just the focus ones. Okay. Then these give you some additional ideas for what else you can grade and assess within the unit. And then what we get is, again, a listing of the lessons in the unit and the standards that are covered. Now, traditionally, this body of evidence has only listed the lessons that will lead to success on the PBA. For this curriculum, what we decided to do was to list all of the lessons within the unit, but highlight for you the ones that are there to intentionally guide students towards success on the PBA. What we found with the body of evidence documents that only listed the lessons that led to the PBA were some people were mistakenly only teaching those lessons that were listed in the body of evidence. So then what ends up happening is all these other standards that are addressed with some of those other lessons weren't taught. And then, of course, the students encounter those standards on the periodic assessments and also on PARCC. So we don't want to give the impression that you only need to teach the lessons that lead to the PBA, but we do want you to know which lessons they are. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Then we also listed the whole novels lessons here because they also address standards. And that will make more sense to you when we dig into the whole novels resources a little bit further. And then here's information on the diagnostic and the learning check. All right, so that is your body of evidence chart. So again, all three of these documents right here kind of do the same thing. They all give you an overview of the unit. It's just your preference, which one works better for you. Then every unit has the assessment folder, which contains all of the assessments for the unit. So here's the PBA document, and you can see if you've been with us a while, they look like our traditional PBAs. Okay, oh, this is the one where the kids choose a club that they want to research, and you can see we've already provided links to different articles that they can view. So that's the PBA. Then here's the periodic assessment. So you never have to wonder what the kids are going to see on the periodic assessment. It's right here. You can just open it and take a look at it. Here's the diagnostic assessment. Here's the learning check assessment. And then this is resources for scoring the PBA. And then here's the rubric for speaking and listening. So whenever you're doing a speaking and listening activity and you'd like to use the official rubric, there it is. Okay, so that's the assessment folder. Then there's, in every unit, this whole novels resources folder. It's chock full of stuff. We're going to go into that further when we get specifically into talking about whole novels. So right now we're going to skip this folder. Okay, so from the assessments, you have whole novels, and then you have the lesson sequence. Okay, so taking a look at what the lessons look like. We start with instructional notes. They're very important to take a look at because if there's something unique about a particular lesson, it's going to appear here in the instructional notes. So for example, if this were lesson 6 and the next lesson should be the learning check, you would see that big and bold right here in instructional notes. Be sure to administer the learning check next after this lesson or something like that. So that information would be there. Another really important piece is this reminder to you that with using collections so much, the collections tile on BCPS 1 has to be open in order for the digital resources to open, in order for collections to open. So just a little reminder about that. Okay. Then you'll see that there's information on the whole novels instruction. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We'll come back to that. Here's our target standards being addressed with the lesson. Then this is a little bit different. We have the learning objective for the lesson listed here, and then right next to it are the assessment options for assessing that objective. We wanted the two to appear side by side so that teachers can make sure that whatever they're using as the assessment for the lesson is matching the objective of the lesson. So these two things should go together. This is what we say the kids are going to be doing, and this is how the kids are going to show us they're doing it. Okay, then we have I can statements for the lesson. Then here's all the resources, and these are all linked for you. You can see all of these are from collections. We, in a lot of lessons, separated student resources from teacher resources. These are the pages from collections that are the teacher's guide. Then here's the directions for the instructional sequence. Okay. And then over here are suggestions for what you can do to differentiate or scaffold the instruction. Okay, so the left side is the instructional sequence, the right side are suggestions for what you can do to support students. So that's the basic lesson, but then there are two other components to every lesson, one being a grammar component. And you're going to see up here in the instructional notes that it might say something like this. This lesson includes instruction in language conventions, word ending in Y. That's from collections that goes along with these texts that the students are going to be reading. Okay, so you'll see then within the instructional sequence that there's going to be a bullet that says have the students complete those activities. Okay, then also within the instructional sequence, we want to make sure that teachers are thinking about what their students are doing with their novel that they're reading in every lesson. So you're going to see here in the instructional notes, it says whole novels instruction suggestion. So it tells you as you're working with this lesson, you may want to take some time and, for example, this one, teach whole novels lesson 2 as part of this instructional sequence. And then you'll also see that whole novels instruction suggestion. It's the same one down here at the bottom of the lesson. So the whole novel suggestion appears at the top of the lesson in the instructional notes and then also at the bottom of the lesson. Okay, and then that's what pretty much all of the lessons look like. And that's how all of the units are laid out and how all the folders are organized. Okay, all right, I'll see you next to talk about grammar.